Hello everyone. If you've watched my last few videos, you probably already know that I've been taking my finances way more seriously over the last few months. And honestly, one of the biggest things that changed for me was finally understanding that investing is not really about just getting rich fast. It's more about building systems that quietly work in the background for years. And I think before I started learning about investing, I thought everyone who invested was constantly checking charts all day, trading stocks, and just trying to beat the market. But honestly, the more I learned, the more boring my strategy became. And weirdly enough, I think that's actually a good thing. For context, I'm 22 years old, still in college, working part-time, and definitely not making crazy money. I'm not a finance major, I'm not some investing expert, I'm just literally someone who finally sat down around November and started trying to learn about how money actually works. And this video is not financial advice. This is genuinely what I just do personally and how I think about investing now. And before I even start talking about investing, I want to say something very important. If you have high interest debt right now and you're thinking about investing, especially like just credit card debt, please focus on getting rid of that first before you even start investing. Let's say, for example, your investments are making around 8% per year, but your debt is charging you 20% interest. If you're making the minimum payments, the math is already just working against you. Compound interest is extremely powerful, but unfortunately, debt also compounds as well. And honestly, I think social media really skips that over this part because investing sounds way more exciting than just talking about debt. But getting rid of bad debt is investing in your future too. And another thing I also think people should focus on before heavily investing is building at least some type of emergency fund. Because life happens, your car breaks, you lose a job, and random expenses show up. And if every emergency forces you into debt, it becomes really hard to build long-term wealth. So personally, one of the first things I focused on was building savings in a high-yield savings account. And for those who don't know, normal banks that have savings account, which is probably what you have, I have one in Wells Fargo, they usually pay out per month around 0.02% after every month. So whatever money you have there, that's why sometimes you'll get like a monthly interest and they'll just be adding cents to your account. High yield savings is pretty much a savings account exactly like that, but with higher percentages, which is around like 3 to 4% on average. So if you invest like $10,000, you'll be making around $400 per year just off of the percentage alone. So that's pretty much where all my emergency money is sitting in right now, just in case things happen, and so it also beats inflation, so my money isn't just losing value sitting in a bank account. After that, my main focus became my Roth IRA, and honestly, once I understood how a Roth IRA worked, it kind of changed the way I viewed investing entirely. Because you're basically investing money that can grow tax-free long-term. And the more I learned about taxes, the more I realized avoiding taxes as much as possible matters almost as much as growing your money. And which honestly sounds super boring, but boring is usually what works financially. And then after that, that's where my actual strategy comes in. Because once I understood that I wanted my Roth IRA to be the main account I focus on, the next question was, okay, what am I actually buying inside of it? Roth IRAs are pretty much a tax-free growth investing account, so it's a normal brokerage, so you still have to buy stocks and make your choices. And for me, I didn't want to just pick random individual stocks, because when you invest in one company, even if it's a great company, you're still tying a lot of your future to that one business. Like if you only invested into something like Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, or whatever company you personally believe in, and that company has a terrible few years or a couple like bad quarters, your portfolio is gonna feel that a lot harder. And I'm not saying individual stocks are always bad, I'm just saying for me personally, I don't want my future depending on me being right about one company. So instead, I use funds. And really quickly, if you don't know what a mutual fund is or an ETF, it's basically just one investment that holds a bunch of other investments inside of it. So instead of just buying one company, you're buying a basket of companies. And that means if one company struggles, your entire portfolio doesn't automatically fall apart because there are hundreds of other companies inside that fund helping it kind of balance out through like the rough turns. And that's the whole reason why I like funds. It makes investing way less stressful. You don't have to worry about researching constant companies on the upturns, downturns, especially with the kind of AI tech media field that we're kind of going in right now. And with these funds, they're pretty much managing your money and your investments all into multiple companies that are researched and also have like winning records. So for my Roth IRA right now, my plan is pretty simple. And I'm going to list them all out real quick and then I'll go into depth about all of them. And the reason why I split it into 1/3 is just so that I have a balanced portfolio as well. So about 1/3 of the money that I invest into goes into something called SWPPX. Around 1/3 goes into SCHG, and about 1/3 also goes into SCHD. And each one of these have a different job. SWPPX is basically my foundation. It's the Schwab's SP500 index fund, which means it tracks the SP500. And for those who don't know, the SP500 is basically 500 of the biggest companies in America. So with SWPPX, I'm not trying to choose the next winner. I'm basically saying I believe the overall American market will continue growing over the long term. And another reason I like SWPPX is because it's a mutual fund, which means I can invest any dollar amount into it. I don't have to buy an entire full share to own stock of this. I can put $50, $100, $300, or even as little as $1. Whatever amount I'm investing, and it all gets invested. And for someone like me who's working part-time and trying to consistently invest every month, that makes it really simple. So if you want to start investing, you can alone just go into SWPPX. It's around 11% up right now, year to date. So if you want to start and just want to do something super easy where you can put any amount of money in, SWPPX is something I have been doing, and it makes it very simple. Then the second part is SCHG. SCHG is my growth side. This is the part of my portfolio that gives me more exposure to growth companies and honestly like the tech market overall. This is probably the more aggressive part of my strategy because growth companies can move up a lot, but they can also drop harder too. But since I'm 22, I'm pretty okay with that. I don't need the money next year, and I'm not investing for the next month. I'm investing for decades from now. So if SCHG drops in the short term, obviously no one likes seeing red. But to me, that also means I'm buying more shares while they're cheaper. And then the third part is SCHD. SCHD is my dividend side, and this one is a little different because instead of only focusing on growth, SCHD focuses on more companies that pay dividends. And if you don't know what dividends are, it's basically when a company pays shareholders a small portion of its profits. Now, I want to be clear, dividends are not free money. I know some people online explain dividends like it's some cheat code where money just appears, but that's not exactly how it works. But personally, I still like having SCHD because it gives my portfolio a little more balance. And honestly, psychologically, it helps me keep motivated, especially during downturns. And when the market is going bad, SCHD is usually doing pretty great. And honestly, with my account, the Roth IRA, it's completely tax-free, so I don't even have to pay taxes on the dividends that I am making. And even though I know the amount I'm investing right now doesn't really give me much in dividends right now, I'm making around $120 a year purely off of dividends. But seeing your investments start producing income on their own kind of makes investing feel a little more real to me. So the way I look at it is SWPPX is my foundation, SCHG is my growth, and SCHD is my dividend and stability side. And together, that gives me a portfolio that feels simple enough for me to actually stick with and completely just invest for the next months coming. And honestly, that's the most important part, because the best investing strategy is not always the most complicated one. It's the one you can actually keep doing over long terms. And for me, this is something I can understand. This is something I can explain, and this is something I feel comfortable putting my money into every month. So for 2026, my plan is to keep investing around $625 a month into my Roth IRA until I max it out. And the max is $7,500 for this year. The reason why there's a max on the Roth IRA is it's because it's such a strong account because it grows completely tax-free. So if it gets up to like $1 million to $2 million, I can completely withdraw that without like any 10% tax or any tax brackets that take so much money out of it. So that's why I'm trying to max it out every year. And if I still have extra money to invest, I would basically do the exact same strategy in a normal taxable brokerage account. Same ideas, same funds, same long-term mindset. The only difference is that the taxable brokerage does not have the same tax advantages as the Roth IRA, so I'd probably lessen up on the dividends, especially since they get taxed. But the Roth IRA will always come first for me because the tax-free growth over decades is just way too powerful to ignore. And honestly, this whole strategy is designed around one thing: time. I'm not trying to get rich overnight. I'm trying to build something that can quietly grow in the background while I keep living my life, going to school, working, and figuring everything out. And if you're Gen Z, that's the advantage we have. We may not have the most money yet, but we do have the most time. And if we actually use it, that time can become very powerful. But as always, thank you guys so much for listening to me yap. And if you guys like transparency, honest conversations, and honestly just talking through life, money, college, investing, or figuring things out in your 20s, you'll probably fit in well here. I'm currently building a Discord around all of this too, just a place for like-minded people to talk, share experiences, help each other out, or even suggest the things you guys want me to talk about in future videos. And again, no pressure at all. It's definitely not for everyone. But if you're interested, the link will be in the description. And if you're also interested, I'm transferring to university soon, so that's a big jump for me. So here's a video on that right now. And here's to 2026 of starting now instead of waiting later, building better habits, and letting time work for us instead of against us. I'll see you guys all later.